I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, has council had an opportunity to review the meeting minutes from July 5th? If so, how do you wish to proceed?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second. Motion from Robin, second from Becky. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Approval of this evening's agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the set agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion from Mike, second from Robin. Those in favor can state aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Guests in open forum. Seeing no one, we'll move on to committee reports. EDA.
EDA met July 11th. We got a real estate update. There are a few more properties available in the area. Not a lot, but a few. We talked about the T-Town plat coming closer to completion, and we got updates on the development opportunities on the 10-acre parcel and where the Dueling Brews property is.
All right. Public Works.
Public Works, we got an update on the BAC parking lot from Lieutenant Lindblom, which I believe he's going to be talking to us later in the exec session. We had an update on the street projects that we're working on. They had some issues or concerns about their weed ordinance. So staff from Public Works will be making a recommendation to Planning Commission, which will eventually get to us. Bruce Thompson's retiring and does not want any
Fanfare.
fanfare. So I guess a couple of people just gonna go out to lunch with him. The HVAC controls upgrades are about done, and Chris is gonna have a resolution to us for, what's it for again?
The lift station.
Yeah,
Power
the
to
lift
it.
station, lift station 17.
Perfect. How about Budget and Finance?
Budget and Finance met on the 14th. We reviewed all the financials. We talked about the potential grant anticipation funding, and we still think we'll be okay with no need for short-term borrow. Talked about some of the past due utilities. There were 12 disconnects, and at the time of our meeting, one remained disconnected. AR invoices are current. Fund balance property, we are talking about increasing the minimum unrestricted percent from 40 to 60. And we looked at some of the RFP results from that for our audit. And that will be coming on the agenda on the 3rd. And we also talked about the lift station.
All right. Joint Powers Fire Board, and then Becky, can you also do the Joint City Township Fire Board?
Yes.
meeting?
So the joint fire board met last night. Of course, we paid the bills. I guess you're shocked with that. And we obviously went over the budget and the CIP review, which then we approved last night as the joint meeting, thank you, at the town hall. And we also kind of just were reviewing, we're gonna start kind of going over our fire contract and our bylaws for the upcoming meetings, just to kind of get everything up to date, so. About it.
Okay, any other committee reports? All right, moving on to public hearings. Partial easement vacate for JT2 properties. Ms. Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. So the city has received a complete application for a partial easement vacation from JT2 Properties. This is Jessica Traptow of JT2 Properties, who's building the shopping center, Dueling Brews. We all hear the excitement about it. She's been working hard With Excel Energy, they have utilities in this existing 25-foot easement. She's been working with them to figure out what can be reduced. They have come to an agreement, a 6-foot portion to be vacated. So that's what we have before you. It is a public hearing, so if we want to open it, or did we open it? Sorry.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing at 5:06.
Yeah, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, staff is recommending a motion and a second approving Resolution 22-51 for the proposed easement vacation.
All right, so is there anybody here wishing to address the JT2 properties in the public hearing? Seeing no one, council, any questions for Mary?
Nope, not
The
for
only-
me anyway.
The only question, Mary, this land came from the Elk River Bank. Is that who sold this land?
Correct.
Okay.
They had owned it, I believe, from a foreclosure, and they went through the Bank Street Addition plat to split it. So this 25-foot easement is quite old, actually, on there, and they were working with it. Once it was split, she's looking at the western half of that property for that shopping center and to accommodate her drive-through and her development. The 6 feet will really give them a good amount of room to get that drive-through in there, so.
Perfect. It's an exciting project.
Yeah.
If there are no more, I would ask,
Make a motion, we close the
Thank you.
public hearing.
Second?
motion from Mike, second from Robin, to close the public hearing. Those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
We are closed at 5:07 PM.
I make a motion, pass resolution 2251.
Second?
Motion from Mike, second from Robin. Any questions? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board committee and consultant reports. Facility needs study agreement. Chief Balloon.
Mayor,
I almost
council,
got your-
thank you.
I almost got the principal, sorry.
Oh, don't do that.
Mr. Balloon. Chief.
I'm much nicer and much more handsome. Anyway, so as you recall, back in 2017, the city undertook a study with BKV to look into the space needs and facilities that we have here in Becker and just see what we really needed to do to update or assess the needs for space. And at that time, one of the priorities that came out of that, along with some mechanical things which have been addressed since then, were additional space needs relative to City Hall and the police department. Excuse me. Since then, we haven't done a whole lot to kind of further that part of it. So prior to Jeff's exit, interim administrator, we put together a work group, and as part of that, some things have happened since then, but one of those was I had reached out to Wald Architects and Engineers of St. Paul to come and take a look at City Hall and the police department, again, in particular, just to look at space and, how can we move things a little further down the road compared to what we had done in 2017. So they have provided us with a proposal of what they could do to take this to the next step. Specifically, within this proposal is a 12-week process to complete the assessment, review past documents, including the 2017 study, developing goals for what we really need or what we feel we need to accomplish here, needs summary based on meetings with not only yourself, but the staff that might be involved within these facilities, development of options and concepts that might help us, discussion of short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. So really what that might be is looking at what do we need to address immediately versus maybe 20 to 30 years down the road as things change here in Becker. Certainly budget discussions that could be involved. They indicated they will meet with any group and as often as necessary to address any concerns or things that we feel may come up in discussions, and certainly then to strategize what next steps could be and what they could look like for the facility and for us in general. So the proposal that we've looked at in the past through our last executive meeting, so it's gone through our work group as well as the workshop with you folks on July 5th. They've proposed to us, the cost for this study is $12,000 with an additional $1,000 for reimbursable expenses. So the cost of this could come out, or would come out of administrative CIP funds to pay for this. But again, just to reiterate, what this really does is it takes the study that was done in 2017 to that next level to help us address or identify what do we feel we really need for City Hall. To make a point, as you well know, we've got staff working out of the lunchroom, we've got one working out of a closet, we've got, in my case, 4 officers assigned to one desk, you know, storage space issues and that sort of thing. So moving forward, these are things that I think we really need to take a good hard look at, just for our organization in general. So with that, if there's any questions, would be certainly willing to answer those. Otherwise, a motion and second to approve the authorization for myself to sign on behalf of the city into the agreement for a facility needs study with Wold Architects and Engineers out of St. Paul.
Have you looked into this at all, Greg? Have you looked into this at all?
I've been involved in the meetings, yeah.
Oh, you have done, okay. I thought it was kind of before your time, that's why I was,
It started before I was here, but we've had like 2 or 3 meetings since I've been here.
oh, okay. So you're up to date on what's going on here? Okay. That's all I had. Now you're looking for somebody to make a motion, I suppose.
If there are no more questions, yes.
I'm gonna bite my tongue, no. I make a motion, we enter into the agreement with, what's the name of the company again?
Wold Architects.
World Architects.
I'll second.
Motion from Mike, second from Becky. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you.
Power to Lift Station 17, Mr. Lisson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight, I have an RCA and a resolution for adding power to Lift Station 17. Lift Station 17 is located in our business park / industrial park at the cul-de-sac kind of down from TJ Potter Trucking. The station was installed in 2011. At that time, power was not provided to the station with the idea that somewhere down the road when development occurred, that would take place. As we look towards the future and trying to build out our business park, it seems like a good step would be to add the power to the station so that we can service properties around where that station is. It's always been something kind of on the forefront for me, because when I started, it seems like it's one of those oddities that kind of sits out there, like, why did we put it there but never put the power to it? So in discussions with Phil and then our finance department, kind of looking for ways, well, okay, we want to do it, but it's obviously going to cost some money. How can we do that? Do we have funds available to do that? Finance did bring up our developers agreement with Northern Metals. That includes some assessments that would be set aside specifically for improvements to the business park. So it was suggested that some of those would be used for more general items like water and sewer infrastructure improvements. So in 2022, the payment for that non-trunk portion of those assessments includes principal and interest of $191,776.37. So that was where we would use those funds then to bring power to this lift station and make that improvement to our business park. We did discuss this with the Public Works Committee. Public Works Committee suggested that I move it forward to council for consideration. We did get numbers from both Excel and then Hubbard Electric for running the power to the site and then making the connection when it's there. I've listed those there. The total was $119, $181.34 for the two. $118,000 was the Excel to run 3-phase to the site, and then $1181.34 for Hubbard to make that connection when it's there. I can take any questions, otherwise, motion a second to approve resolution 2249, which would approve the running of power to lift station 17 in the business park. Oh, I did fail to mention too, one thing, in our industrial park, our plan as we've added lift stations, especially now with our projects, is we add backup generation to the site so we can provide continuous service to users in the park. We would like to do that at this point, in this station at some point. Right now, because there are no users, it's not something we would consider. When we do look to replace a panel in the future, we would add the necessary equipment to include that, so that would be ready to go when that happens. So this panel at this point can hook up to our portable generator, so we could still do that. But in the future, we would look to make that improvement when we replace the panel. So had that in there and figured I should mention that, so.
If nobody's got any questions, I make a motion, we approve resolution 2249, adding power to lift station 17 in the industrial park.
I'll second.
Motion from Mike, second from Becky. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, carried. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Administrator and staff reports. City Code Chapter 3 amendments. Mr. Sanders.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. No, I did not transfer to Public Works. However, I am presenting this. So part of as we've gone over a couple of these developments the last few months, specifically the 10-acre one that we're working on, we came across in code as we were trying to determine, what fees would they be charged, where would they go, the DA. There's some language in city code in chapter 3 that prohibits it from charging any fees for trunk on any municipal land already within the city. The issue with that is some of those lands are not served yet. So you're basically giving up trunk fees as the city on lands not served if they were to come in. So if they're currently in the municipality and they're not served at this point or they're undeveloped, then trunk fees don't get charged. And that's one of the things that we came across in this, and we wanted to ensure that we fix that, talk to Public Works about that, and that's something they want to make sure that is fixed as well. So the language would just be changed to all areas within city limits or brought into the city would pay trunk at the current rate at the time the land is actually served. So not when it's brought in, but when it's actually developed. So if it doesn't get developed for a long time, it wouldn't get the trunk fees until it's actually developed into what it is, whether that's housing or whatever. So this would allow us to collect trunk fees. There were a couple properties that were under this previous language that were erroneously charged those trunk fees. Those will be in the process of being refunded, so we're taking a look. There's only one that we know of right now, but we're doing a little bit of digging just to make sure there weren't any other ones that slipped through. So really, staff is seeking for a motion and second approving ordinance 254 second series, which would amend that section and subdivision, and approval of the ordinance 254 second series summaries for publication. Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 254 second series, amending City of Becker, Chapter 3, Section 3.36, Subdivision 4.
I'll second.
Motion from Robin, second from Becky. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Then I'll make a motion approving ordinance 254 second series summary for publication purposes.
I'll second.
Motion from Robin, second from Becky. Those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Certificate of completion for Rebecca's Cafe. Miss Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So before you, we have a request for a certificate of completion for a portion of the property currently known as Rebecca's Cafe and the cafe parking lot. Back in 1985, the city had quitclaim deeded a portion of this property to the owner of Rebecca's Cafe, or of Coffee Cup Cafe at the time, what's now known as Rebecca's Cafe. In that quitclaim deed, we did reference a contract for private development. It was recorded on that title of that portion of the property. The property is now is going through the process of title work to be purchased by Rebecca's, and the title company contacted us saying, hey, what's this private contract for development? We took a look, we went into the basement, multiple people looked, we're actually unable to find that contract of the development that explains what improvements were required. So we were speaking with the city attorney, and it was recommended that we go ahead and release that the requirements for improvements through a certificate of completion, because we don't hold any public interest in that portion of the property. It would clear up title work for the sale to go through. So that is what staff is seeking at this time. A motion and a second approving resolution 22-50, that's 5-0. Resolution authorizing the proper signatures on that certificate of completion. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
When was this done?
1985, so
Oh, that
your
was when
name's
that-
on some of the
That was when,
documents there.
that was when that big remodel job was done on that.
Okay,
That was, major work.
sure,
See, you're like our little time capsule.
right.
Maybe he knows where that contract
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Todd, do you
maybe.
remember?
It's the guy from Big Lake. I don't remember his name right offhand.
Oh.
So you need a motion for resolution, I'll make a motion for resolution 2250, certificate of completion for Rebecca's Cafe.
Second.
Motion from Mike, second from Robin. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you.
The owner was on the city council at the time.
Well, maybe that's where it went.
Consent agenda, Mr. LaRude.
Mayor and City Council, we have several items on the consent agenda for approval tonight. They are, number one, approving the hiring and termination report for Pebble Creek Golf Club and Becker Community Center. Approve the Economic Development Coordinator job description and authorize to advertise for the opening. Approve temporary liquor license for Becker Lions to serve at the Sons of American Legion event on August 13th. And approve the acting lead agreement, memorandum of agreement between the city and the Public Works Union. And by way of background, that's something that's been in the works on the city's part for some time, and finally, we've heard back from the union. So it's previously been received by the city or reviewed by the city, and now it's formally approving the memorandum.
Make a motion to, what do I want to do?
Consent agenda?
Consent agenda as presented. Wait.
I'll second that.
Motion from Robin.
We're really on top of things tonight, aren't we?
Motion from Robin, second from Mike. Any other discussion? With none, those in favor can state aye. Aye. Opposed, carried. Payment of the bills. This is where I'll look for a motion to pay the bills.
I move we pay the bills.
I'll second.
Motion from Robin, second from Becky. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Payment of the bill, there must be something traveling. Payment of the bills are approved. Wow. Does council have anything else for the betterment of Becker? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion from Mike, second from Robin. Those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 5:23.
Nobody stuttered on that one.
Wow, my brain just went dead.
Well, and then it traveled